Now that wasn't so bad, was it? Hey everybody, this is Pastor Justin Walker with The Whole Truth, and we're going through the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation. We're not skipping anything. I want you to come along with me. So grab a Bible, turn it open to Genesis chapter 33. While you're doing that, use your thumb, reach down, hit the subscribe button, and follow along with the channel so you get notifications every morning. You get a new video as we go through the entire Bible. In Genesis chapter 33, we've been dealing with this guy named Jacob. Now Jacob, you remember, Jacob has been tricking people. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, right? Abraham tricked his dad Isaac. Abraham had dealt cunningly with his uncle Laban, even though Uncle Laban had dealt shrewdly with Jacob. It was kind of a back and forth. Jacob is the one who, if you will, stole his brother's blessing by tricking his dad and putting fur on the back of his hands and dressing up in his brother's clothes when his dad was blind. Jacob has been living this carnal life where he's not been honest and he's not been truthful, and now he's reaping the fruit of that. He's having to pay the consequences of that. First he had to encounter Laban, then he finds out that after he ran away from Laban, and then he finds out that Esau, he's going through Esau's land, and Esau is coming to meet him with 400 men. Jacob was so concerned. He's been staying up all night praying, concerned, worried, wrestled with the Lord all night, divided up the people so that in case Esau attacks, Jacob's people wouldn't die. And so Jacob's dividing everybody up, and he's still concerned. It's chapter 33, and he's about to meet Esau. Now Jacob lifted his eyes and looked, and there Esau was coming with him, and with him were 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two maidservants, and he put the maidservants and their children in the front, Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. And then he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. Now let's just stop there for a moment and recognize the scene. Jacob did something. His name is actually Israel now, and Israel has done something that you and I would not agree with. We wouldn't do something like this, but he takes his favorite wife and he puts her in the very back. And that's Rachel and his favorite son, Joseph, and he puts him in the very back. And then he puts Leah in front of them, and then he puts the maidservants in front of them, the concubines or the wives that he took because his wives ended up in a challenge match of who could have more children with Jacob. And so he's put the women in these groups and put the favorite in the back just in case Esau attacks. The favorite wife and the favorite son have time to escape. That was really his idea. And then he goes in front of them. He's not using them as a human shield. He goes in front of all of them. And Esau is coming with 400 men. And Jacob is bowing himself to the ground. He takes a little bit, walks a little bit, and he bows himself to the ground. He walks a little bit, and he bows himself to the ground. He walks a little bit, he bows himself to the ground 7 times. Finally, after the 7th time, Esau comes running. Look, it's verse 4. But Esau ran to meet him. Can you imagine? His heart was probably racing. Esau comes running after him, but when he gets close enough, he throws his arms out wide. And look, Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and children and said, "Who are these with you?" And so he said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the maidservant came near and their children and bowed down. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed down. And afterward, Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed down. Now, do you see? Jacob, Israel, has been worried. He's been so concerned over what would happen. And he was staying up all night. He was wrestling with the Lord. He divided all the people up into these different camps, concerned about Esau attacking. And he prayed to God. And then when he goes to meet Esau, Esau runs up and embraces him. And his worry was for nothing. Did you know that statistically speaking, most of the time what we worry about does not come to pass? That's a true statement. Most of the time what we worry about does not come to pass. And that sometimes that it does come to pass. I can't promise you that you might be worried about something that's not going to happen. There's a good chance that maybe something would happen. Well, one day it will. I'm sure one day if you worry about enough stuff, one day you're going to be worried about something, and then that thing that you've been worried about, it's going to happen. But I can also tell you that worrying won't change anything. And 2, the Lord can take what we're concerned about. He can take what the world means and what the devil means to harm us, and he can use it for our good. I want to tell you a real quick story that happened to me here recently. I have a fabric store, and we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we really honestly thought our fabric store was going to close. and we started making cloth masks. Now, we don't make masks at my fabric store. We don't make clothing. We make furniture. We build furniture and we upholster furniture. And so making articles for to put on your face is not something that we would usually do. And so elastic became a hard thing to find, the elastic to put on the little loops for the mask. It was just impossible to find. And our normal elastic guy gave us a tip, and he told us who we could go to. And he said, but you got to buy it by the bale. And so we invested a large amount of money, at least for us, a large amount of money, to buy elastic to make face masks for people who were in need during the pandemic, and also to sell to people who had such a need. And it came in, and my brother said, we've never dealt with this guy. What if this elastic comes in and it's no good? Well, guess what? It came in and it was no good. It was this huge pile. It's like the size of a minivan pile of elastic that is tangled, and some of it's dirty and some of it's overstretched. Some of it was good, but you couldn't hardly get to it. It was a mess. And we thought, what in the world? I remember leaving that Friday night after it had been delivered, and I was sick to the pit of my stomach. I thought, not only is our store going to close, but we just lost what money we had. We just lost it trying to buy elastic. As a matter of fact, we even borrowed some money to buy that elastic to get it in so that we could try to sell it. I was so concerned. So we did this little live Facebook video, and we told everybody what happened. And you know what happened? Before the live video was over, people were calling and they were saying, we'll take some of it anyways. If there's any of it that's good in there, we'll take it anyways. We ended up taking that elastic and selling it by the pound. We have to stretch it and then cut off, and then we just sell it 1 pound at a time. And we bought 1,800 pounds of elastic. And as of this morning, when I go into work, we're down to maybe a couple of 100 pounds left. The Lord takes what the world means for evil. The Lord takes what could be bad. Listen, what we were worried about, what my brother said, it came to pass. The elastic was all messed up, but the Lord used it for good. And now our business, not only did we not have to close, but we've been able to thrive through the middle of this, because we had this elastic that was damaged that we were concerned about. We were so worried. What's the point of what I'm trying to tell you? That when we worry, we're not fixing anything. But put your trust in the Lord. He can take what the world means to harm us, or what the devil tries to use to harm us, or even the things we're worried about, and he can use them for our good, because he's our good Father and he cares about us. Now, let's finish up the story. Look what happens. And Jacob said, this is verse 8 rather, Esau said, what do you mean by all this company which I met? And he said, these are to find favor in your sight, my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. And Jacob said, no, please, if I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face, as though I have seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Please take my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And so he urged him, and he took it. Wow. Esau takes the gift. In this culture, in this time, enemy would never take a gift from an enemy. Okay, if somebody still saw someone else as an enemy, they would never receive a gift from them. They would only receive a gift if it was somebody that they were willing to receive as a friend. At first, Esau says, I don't need all this stuff, brother. I don't need all this. The Lord has provided for me. I have all this land. Edom is mine. And that's true. The land of Edom that we'll read about throughout Genesis, that's Esau's. That started with Esau and his wives. Even though his wives were Egyptian, the Lord had still taken care of Esau. Well, Esau was taking care of it. Says, I don't need this stuff. And Jacob says, no, please take it. I want you to take it. And Esau agrees. When Esau agrees, that is a symbol. That's a sign that all is forgiven. We're no longer enemies, and we're friends. You see, what Jacob had been worried about turned out for good. Everything ended up being okay because the Lord had him, the Lord heard his prayers, and the Lord was good to him, and he and his brother got to be reconciled. I wish the story stayed that way. I'm going to leave tomorrow. I'm going to leave the rest for tomorrow, the rest of this chapter for tomorrow's video, because Jacob doesn't deal honestly with his brother, and I wish that he would have. But in this moment, we get to see a beautiful scene of them reuniting, and we get to see that the Lord was good and answered Jacob's prayers, and he was worried over nothing. See, that really wasn't so bad. Hey, everybody, I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope that you'll come back and join me tomorrow for the rest of Genesis chapter 33. I'll see you then.